Hey folks, this is sort of serving as a test video for this VHS-C camcorder I got from Goodwill for about $5. It came with all the accessories and everything, including the power cord, the DC cord, all the stuff. So, even the little suitcase and cables and batteries and stuff. Got a brand new TDK tape in it, given this sort of a test run, and I haven't made a video in a while, and I have a lot to talk about as far as the computers I have are concerned. So since this is a low-res video, I figure it won't matter if I just talk. You know, it's just one of those talky videos. So let's talk about my computers. So the situation has changed considerably. So I've been having problems with at least my Linux machine at the time was having issues. Oh, look at that focus, that's bad. I was having problems with the Linux machine, which originally was the one on the left here. And both of these are AMD Ryzen machines, if you weren't aware. They originally had ASRock A320M Pro 4 boards in them. And they were fine for a while, but they were always kind of quirky. The Linux machine, the one in the Linux machine, started freezing all of a sudden. I just kept getting this random freeze problem. And I had this in the past, but it sort of stabilized and didn't really do it as much. And I thought it was GPU related or something like that. Because when I had the RX 560 as opposed to the RX 570 or 80 in there, it wouldn't behave as badly. Now, I'm really not sure what the deal is. But, yeah, I don't know. So, essentially, the freezy problem got worse. I decided to update my BIOS on both of them, because it was massively out of date. It was out of date to the point where I had to use a bridge BIOS, another bridge BIOS, and then update it to the latest, so it could support, you know, at least the latest processors, which I think is Ryzen 3rd Gen, that's, coming out pretty soon, if it's not out already by the time I upload this video. So, you know, I figured it was a good idea to update the, I think it's called the AGESA, which is the, I think it's the processor support. And I think that updates microcode as well. Don't quote me on that. So what I ended up doing was swapping the boards out. I exhausted every possibility. I assumed it was Linux right off the bat. I tried messing with the C states, especially C state 6, since that was mentioned. I tried idle equals halt in the grub line. I tried a bunch of different stuff, and none of it worked. In fact, when I updated the BIOS, it actually made it worse, which is really weird. So what I ended up doing is I had some Asus B350 boards in my servers that were running those AMD A10 processors. They're the super low watt ones. I just swapped the boards around between the servers and my desktops. So my desktops now have B350 boards, and my servers have the A320 boards. And so far in the servers, it's been fine. I haven't had any issues there. I think what happened with that is that perhaps that board. I've seen this happen with audio equipment too. I think the chip I was using and that board were just not a good match for each other. And the chip I was using was the Ryzen 7 1700 in both of them, and I just don't think they were a good match. Whereas that older A10 AM4 chip, I think, is a much better match, because I noticed with the Linux machine, I used to have a Ryzen 5 1400 in there, and it was solid as a rock with that particular chip in it after a while. But the moment I put a 1700 in it, it started freezing like crazy. So I'm thinking that ASRock may have just written some crappy BIOSes or something for those particular boards. That doesn't mean all ASRock boards are bad, but I think those boards in particular have some nasty BIOSes in them, because I've seen bad reviews for the A320M boards on various websites, and I've seen the same thing for the B350 version of the same board, which is literally the same board with a different chipset, and I don't know if it's the same BIOS or not, but it would be a similar BIOS, I would assume. And what I ended up doing there is just coming to that conclusion. I stuck it in my server. I've let the server run for like a week now, and it hasn't frozen. So I think that the A10 chip, is a better match for that particular motherboard. So that's a problem I've seen in audio equipment before, where stuff just isn't a good match. and sometimes the quirks are almost flaws, and they kind of borderline that, and that's what I was seeing with those boards. The B350 boards, they've been rock stable. I haven't had it freeze once. I did have a reboot, but I added a few things to the grub line that had to do with Ryzen stability, and that made that go away entirely. So that seemed to have fixed it. I forget exactly what's in the grub line. I think it's something to do with C-state. I think it's something to do with C-states, an idle equals halt or something like that. I forget what I put in there. But the other thing I've done is I've abandoned using Windows on my main desktop. The one that's running on the right there, as you can see, used to be my Windows machine. I've taken the drives out of it here, as you can see. I have like a 2 terabyte here. Is that 2 or 4? No, that's a 4 terabyte, and that's 2 terabyte. I just have the 1 6 terabyte in that machine now, which is running Kubuntu Linux. And that has been a rock-stable machine as well. Windows 10, this 1903 update, that's another thing. It would not update. It refused to update to anything past 1803. It didn't even install 1809 properly, so that install was pretty much hosed. I had to clean install to get it to work, and then 1903 just acted bizarre. So I said, you know what, do I really need Windows on my main desktop? Do I really game that much? Not really, to be honest. I probably don't need it on my main desktop, so Linux is fine as far as that's concerned. So what I've done is I've delegated all my Windows stuff to my Acer laptop, which also has a Ryzen chip in it. So I'll just be using that for all my Windows stuff. I have a video editor on there and everything. I'm using my file server a lot more to store my video stuff, since that's backed up not only to the cloud, but it has some RAID behind it as well. So I'm just going to end up using that Acer Aspire for my Windows machine, which should be fine, because I don't really use Windows that much for anything anymore. So as long as I have one machine around that does everything I need as far as Windows is concerned, that's fine. So, but you may be questioning, I have 2 computers here, right? If that one's just going to be my main desktop and be the Linux machine, what are you going to do with the other one? That is what I've been thinking about this past week, and this weekend too. I've wanted to make a streaming PC for a while and stream some games on my channel, and I was watching High Treason's stream of Quake last night, and that was very entertaining. And it reminded me, hey, streaming is fun. Maybe I should set that thing up and finally do it, because I've just been really lazy about that. I've had the idea for like a year, and I just haven't really done anything. So I'm thinking to keep myself, keep my YouTube channel fun, for me at least, is I'm thinking I should use the second PC here for a streaming PC. That also has a Ryzen 1700 in it. That also has another Asus B350 board. So, and it has an RX 570 in it, so it's more than capable of playing the games at the right resolution for streaming, which for me would probably be 720p or 1080p, 60 if I can. So, I figured that's what I'm going to do with that. I don't know how soon I'm going to get around to that, because every time I get motivated to do that, I get distracted with other stuff. Like lately, I've just been buried in my audio equipment hobby and haven't really made too many videos lately. And we're finally getting back to it because I got this camera. So, yeah, there you have it. Stuff has also happened with the bedside computer situation. And we'll go in there to take a look. So, about the bedside computer. It looks pretty much the same, but it's changed. The System 76 laptop I decided to sell to get some money. I had the board replaced under warranty because this bed usually has this sort of fluffy, like not down, but had like a fluffy comforter on it that attracts a lot of static. Now it's the summer one that doesn't attract static, which is nice. I touched a USB port on the System 76 laptop, and that killed it immediately. Like, no joke. I was looking at something on there. I like shifted in bed. I went to forget what I did. I think I went to use the mouse, and I just ended up touching the USB port by coincidence, and a pretty big static shock went through my finger. It went through the board, and the screen shut off, and the fan started going crazy. So I held the power button down to shut it off, and it never turned on again. Yeah, that pretty bad. So I ended up getting the board replaced under warranty because of that. And I don't think I'll be buying System 76 laptops until they stop using Clevo as a manufacturer, because what I've came to the conclusion of is that the board was not Pico fused at the USB ground, which really is a big oversight. Most laptops are like that, even the cheap ones. So Clevo made a big mistake there. I do not like that board design. So what I ended up doing is going back to my HP EliteBook 8460p, and I wasn't satisfied with the graphics on that. So I got the next model up, which is the 8470p here. And it's pretty much the same laptop, except that it's Ivy Bridge and has a much better graphics chip in it. So it's a little bit better. It's still running Kubuntu 18.04. I don't know if I told you that. I switched from Debian to Ubuntu 18.04 on most of my Linux machines because I needed Nextcloud to work properly, and it was not on Debian because of the Flatpak was all screwed up. But the PPA in Ubuntu seems to work fine, so that's what I've been using everywhere I need the Nextcloud client. The other thing I've done is the speakers on the 8470p compared to the 60p are not very good. So I ended up getting this Logitech speaker, this Z50. It's just a cheap little speaker you'd plug into something like a phone or whatever, and it actually improves the sound drastically. This little guy gets pretty loud, so that's what I use for sound when I'm listening to YouTube videos at night. They really help me fall asleep. That's my secret for falling asleep. Lately I've been watching a lot of Shango066 videos where he fixes old TVs and radios and stuff, and somehow that relaxes the hell out of me and lets me fall asleep. So that's the main use of this computer, is to help me fall asleep by taking myself out of my own mind for a while so that I don't just think about stuff all night. So that's the bedside computer situation. A lot of stuff's changed out in that regard. So that's what's happened so far. As far as other things go, there are a few videos on the horizon after this one. I have a bedroom stereo now. This might not be the final stereo I have in here, but it's kind of what I have at the moment, and it's a setup that I think is really cool, and you guys might enjoy taking a look at. So we'll get into that in more detail in another video. The other thing we need to take a look at is my stereo setup. That has completely changed too, as you saw by the Technics being in the other room. I got a nice... I just happened to be in my local record shop that I work in sometimes, and that I'm friends with the owner in. And this stuff just happened to walk in the door, all this NAD stuff. So that's now my main amplifier and cassette deck there. And I also got the CD player with it, but I'm not currently using it. But yeah, all this stuff has completely changed, and I think we should go through it in detail at some point. I only have one turntable up here now. It's just my Fluence RT83, which has been a very nice turntable. I've been very happy with that. And on top of the shelf of stuff currently being played with, I have this Scott tuner that, of course, is tube, as you can see. And it's a very good tuner. This is something that I think we should look at as well. It's been a very fun tuner to play with. I have a second one of those over here to play with too, which has the squeakiest. Well, used to have the squeakiest knob ever, but it's fine now. But yeah, we have to talk about my stereo, because that's a very important thing. The other thing we have to talk about is I got this RCA AV receiver for free, because AV receivers are completely worthless these days. So we're going to take a look at that just because it seems like a fun idea, because it's free. I tested it and it does power on and work. I just tested the headphone output pretty much, so we're going to take a look at that in a future video as well. I need to move these boxes here. These Bankers boxes are totally in the way. I have some keyboard stuff we can look at as well. Also very sad reel-to-reel down there that needs help. One of the motors, that motor there, needs help. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about in some future videos. In the way of computers, I have some vintage computers I still haven't gone through yet. So there's also computer stuff coming up as well. Hopefully more on that IBM once I get an IDE-XT card for it. But for now, I thought this would make a good computer updates video and a good litmus test for this VHS-C camcorder. So hopefully I can get the audio right, get this in mono, and get it on YouTube. without it being too nasty. Let's see if I can get rid of the date and time display. Wonder if that changes it in the video or not. We'll have to see. Or else, during this whole video, you guys will have been staring at 1992. And it is definitely not 1992. It's 2019. So, I'm sure I could set the time and date if I wanted to, but I'd rather just not have it at all. See that flash there? That's weird. So let me just turn that off and see what that does. Anyway, that has been an update video. It's been a while since I uploaded anything. Thought I'd take a break just because I don't like burning out on videos. If I don't have anything to talk about, I'm not going to make a video. So hopefully I can find more stuff to talk about. I will be going to Southeast Linux Fest this year, so if any of you guys are there, I'll be making videos there. So hey, if you see me, flag me down. But don't stalk me. That would be rude. Anyhow, that's been this video. Hopefully I'll have a few more scheduled to go while I'm down at the fest and all that stuff. So sure, we'll get the streaming PC going at some point, and there's more vintage computer stuff on the way as well. So wow, focus. I will talk to you guys later, I guess. If you want to reach me on social media, my Twitter and my Reddit are down below. I'm really wondering if I should continue to use the Reddit at this point, because there's not a huge audience on there. I think Twitter's much easier and better. So I might eliminate that at some point. So yeah. Anyway, there you have it. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.